Hello, it's Stuart and welcome to the second part of how I designed Scammell Stories. In this episode I'm going to show you how I designed the garage to be used as a base from where the Scammells could operate from. What you can see here is my very first sketch for the garage, and this was done in pen on a piece of A5 scrap paper. I'm now going to describe what inspired myself to design the garage this way. In the first instance, it's called Sundown Garage because of the way the sun illuminates the garage when it sets. I love driving and walking in the Highlands of Scotland. What I think is really unique is the fact that in some of the most remote towns and villages, just as you think you're going to run out of petrol, you come across a garage that will look after you. These are the types of garages that were my inspiration for the design of Sundown Garage. They have so much character, and I wanted this to be a feature in the books. I wanted the garage to have a very nostalgic feel, which makes you feel so welcome when you drive in. In drawing number 2, which you can see here, I've expanded the initial sketch, so this is a much more detailed drawing of the garage. A small workshop for servicing cars and the 2 large workshops where our Scammells live. In a garage, I love to see the early enamel advertising signs on the walls, oil dispensers and watering cans, which adds to the character of the establishment, so I wanted to ensure that these were included in the design. Many of the garages that I had seen had flower beds, white fencing and white painted stones around the whole area. There was a real pride in what they did, and I wanted to recreate this. Many garage owners in these remote locations actually live on the site, so I designed living accommodation on the premises as well. In drawing number 3, you can see an aerial view of the garage, and this was done to plan the whole site in much more detail. It provides you with a better idea of the scale that you're working to. In case you don't realise it, all of our drawings are done to scale and we have measurements for all the buildings. It's no good drawing a workshop that the Scammell will not fit into. This leads us quite nicely into drawing number 4, which is here. This is the detailed design for the kiosk and the office area. So many of the garages that I had seen have flower baskets hanging on the walls, which we can see here. The garage had to be constructed from brick with a tiled roof because this is the way that I can remember them. I wanted the garage to feature wooden folding doors. These types of doors are on the small and the large workshops. I actually worked as a mechanic for a number of years, so when I designed the workshop I used my knowledge to fill it with the equipment that I had used when I was working. I had to draw items such as pit jacks, oil cans, oil drainers and other equipment, so Kev knew exactly how to lay the workshops out and what equipment to put in. So drawing number 5, which we can see here, shows us the interior design for the workshops. There are pits which you can walk under to service the Scammells and other vehicles. So once again we have to think about design detail, and items such as air lines, which we can see here, pit jacks, and the garden off to the side of the workshop all have to be planned out in great detail. If we go to drawing number 6, which is here, this shows you how I planned the construction of the workshop, where the windows needed locating, etc. It also shows the design of the air ramp that I wanted to use in the small workshop, which was designed for car servicing only. All these drawings are used by Kev as a reference for how the garage should look. What I have to do as well is to plan ahead for future books, so the following is an example of that. In drawing number 7, which we can see here, what I've actually done is design the interior of the office for Marmaduke, Entwistle, Fotheringham. Where I worked there were other garages in the area, and some of them had small coke stoves in the offices, and this was the only form of heat. They also had a much larger one for the workshop, and it was the apprentice's job to ensure that this was alit on a morning. On a cold day it was so nice to warm your hands near one. To keep with the nostalgia feel of the garage, we have an old wooden desk and a battered chair that had seen better days. So from all the work we have done, the final results can be seen in the following drawings. In drawing number 8, this shows the forecourt area, and you can see we have great attention to detail, such as the enamel signs, oil dispensers and white curbs. The workshops with their timber roofs can be seen in the background, and like I've said previously, these are drawn to scale, so we know that a Scammell will fit in one. And drawing number 8, which we can see here, this shows the finished garage including the living accommodation. As you can see, we have included paraffin pumps enamel signs and the welcome on the forecourt as you come into the garage. I do hope that this will provide you with a better understanding of what we had to do to plan the garage, but once again all credit must be given to Kev Stevens, our artist. He had to work with my initial sketches to end up with the garage that we see. So please join us in part 3 where we will go through how we develop the characters in the garage.